What is up, guys? Welcome to week 17 of the All In
Wow.
podcast with Bad Beat Bryce and Ryan the Rock. How's it going, Ryan?
Our 2 week vacation was a wonderful time, and losing internet on the Cape from the storm was not fun. Losing internet anywhere isn't fun.
Oh,
And then the
yeah.
week after
So,
that, we've had a rough 2 weeks,
yeah,
but
we've had a 2 week hiatus. 2 weeks
we're here.
ago, I was working and all of a sudden the internet and like my whole county cuts out. I try to go to Starbucks. I try to go to Panera. We were
Yeah,
going to have,
this man was
I
setting
drove
up
around
Wi-Fi
town.
hotspots in a Starbucks parking lot. Like
Didn't work.
Bryce was trying as hard as Ryan DePaula was to win a bracelet in a parking lot for this podcast. So let's,
Yeah.
got to give some props to you, Bryce.
Did what I
We're
could.
here. We're back. Everyone's home. Our internet functions. It's great.
It's going to be a great episode. We've got an amazing guest, and we've got five hand
Absolutely.
histories, which I think is a record for this podcast to go over. Um,
Absolutely.
but before we get into our poker topic of the day, I'm throwing a fastball at you, Ryan. But there's definitely been some interesting events going on. I don't even know. Did Rampage Poker win within the last 2 weeks? Like I don't. I
His
think I don't think we've had a podcast since then.
yeah, I think the podcast was supposed to come like basically on the day that he won.
Yeah. So
And
that was sick. Landon Tice has been making a name for himself even more.
yeah,
He went
a
on
couple
Joey
FTs.
Ingram's
Yes.
podcast. Yeah, he has, and
Big shout out to Joey Ingram. He's awesome.
yeah, he's been playing some
Brave like that.
big like 2040 sessions or whatever. And he also played Doug Polk heads up. They played 2-4, and he took him for $500 today. I was just watching
That's fun.
Joey Ingram and Doug Polk's interview, and
Is
they were
this, is this
talking
Doug
about
Polk getting ready?
Doug Polk was just talking about how Daniel Negreanu is so insecure. Is what I just left right before we started this podcast. So that was definitely interesting to hear them talk about that. But
Oh my goodness.
anyways, so our poker topic today is how and when to end a session. Not really how, when to end a poker session.
Yeah. How is pretty simple. Yeah, pick it up.
Do you want to start us off with your thoughts, Ryan?
Yeah, I think again this breaks out into the dichotomy of both online and in person. And I think in person it's funny because casinos do everything in their power to keep you where you are. They want to make you as comfortable as they can. They want to keep bringing you free drinks. They want to keep swinging the waitresses by. They want to keep you around.
No
It's like
clocks, that air conditioning, just pumping
exactly.
in.
Oh, just pumping in. Everyone's comfy. Everyone's there. At home when you're playing online, it's a little different. And I think for me, that's been something that like in the recent month that I've started. I got an adapter. I'm no longer playing off my phone. I'm playing on my computer. I have like range analysis stuff and ICM calculators, and I'm really starting to take this stuff seriously. And I noticed the difference in like how much you have to pay attention to different things and how quickly that can drain you. It's like, sometimes I'll play a session where, I'll play for 2 hours and, maybe I'll play well and I'll be up a little bit. And I'll just be like, I just can't keep going because I can't keep focusing on this level for this amount of time.
For sure.
And I don't really know. And I think as someone who's much newer to the game than you, and especially much newer than our guest, that's really something that I'm curious about. It's like, how do you guys make that decision? Because sometimes I feel like it's a little bit subconscious. You're like, oh, I think I really should pick this up. It's time to go. But, how do you do it?
I think that's a really good point. And I think initially when I first started playing online, if I was tired or even if I came home from a party or something, like I would get on and play. Like
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
stupid
Because
stuff.
we were just excited that it existed. And
Oh,
I think that makes
100%.
sense. You have to
And
factor that in.
yeah, someone in my pro group recently talked about how they woke up and couldn't sleep and they just hopped on and played poker and they got absolutely destroyed. They were half asleep and they just got destroyed. Ryan, I actually think does more mental preparation prior to a session than I do. But I definitely do. You have to get in that mindset and you have to be in a
Right.
good mood. A few months ago, I
Right.
played a session where I was pretty tired. I'd only gotten like 4 hours of sleep or something. I just didn't feel great. I didn't even really feel like playing much, and I punted. I absolutely punted. And since then, I've just been working out a lot, been making
Right.
sure to just prep for the session. In terms of just closing the session, it's when you're not feeling well. If you feel even that slightest bit of tilt, you go on that 15-minute walk, you get the food, and
Yeah.
you still feel tilted. Do not go back to the session. Simple as that. If you don't feel like you're playing your A game, poker's still going to be there tomorrow. Poker's still going
Yes.
to be in there in a few hours. Just rack up and leave. Like no game is good enough for your D game to beat.
And I think for a lot of newer people, one of the things that they don't understand is breaks. Like one of the things that I didn't really understand, like the first times that I really went to the casino, was like the only times I really stood up to walk away was to pee. And I think part of that was just because I was like nervous someone was gonna like mess with my chip stack. And then you remember, like, you're in a casino and there's about 45 cameras looking at just your table. If someone touches your chips, they're gonna know. So it's, feel comfortable. Get up. If you've been sitting there for 2 hours playing, your mind isn't functioning properly at that point. Like, you just need to go and take a lap. Just walk around the casino. Or better yet, get outside of it because they pump perfume into that thing.
100%.
Get some fresher air and then go back.
For sure.
Yeah.
And some people, I think, have the issue of when they're down, not wanting to leave stuck. And we were talking to Evan about this, how he had this issue more online. But it's okay to leave stuck. Sometimes I'll literally book a losing session and be ecstatic about it. I mean, granted, I'll probably crawl
as much
back
as you
from,
can be. Maybe not ecstatic.
I mean, if I'm down $3,000 and I end up down 200, that's a huge win.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. Now I get what you're saying. Like, if you come back from something big and it's still booking a small loss. I've been there too.
Live to fight another day. 100%.
I'm with you.
So, do you want to introduce our
Absolutely.
podcast guest?
Absolutely. So this week we are bringing in the second ever professional poker player in the podcast history, James Mike Ross, aka the PokerProneur. Mike hails from Florida, where he spends a lot of his time grinding at the Seminole Hard Rock 2-5 tables and occasionally dabbles in a tournament or two. I would be remiss not to mention his almost $13,000 cash and second place finish in a three-way chop of the July Big Slick at Seminole Hard Rock. A man with many hats, Mike holds a real estate license and owns several properties in Florida, graduated from poker dealing school, and even teaches people tennis in what free time he has left. Please welcome Mike the PokerProneur to the podcast.
Quite the introduction.
It's a pleasure.
How we doing,
Happy to
Mike?
have you.
Pleasure to be here, guys.
That's great. So I wanted to lean in about this topic with you because I was doing some research before the podcast, and one of your recent Instagram posts, you showed, and we both use the same poker tracker, so that's awesome. And I was looking through, and I knew exactly what to look for because I'd seen the same things. And I was looking at the time that you spent in your sessions, and I noticed that there was a difference between them. Like, some were 2 hours, and some were 4, and some were 6. And so this ties into the conversation Bryce and I were just having. How do you decide when to end a session?
When to end a session?
Yeah.
If I don't have other obligations going on and I have a proper poker session, I typically try to play 3 to 4 hours. But my goal, I usually set like hourly goals for each month. So, for example, this month I'm trying to play 130 hours. So I just break it down. But I always tell people, like, halt. Don't play hungry, angry, unfocused, lonely, or tired.
Hungry especially.
Yeah. So if I'm one of those things, I'll usually take a walk, or I'll stop my session early. A lot of times, like more recently, like my session's been really short. Like just today, I played maybe 2 hours. I had to go to the shop because my car was in the shop. To pick up my car, but I try to put in the hours, and I try to just hit my goals for my hours, basically.
Yeah. I think that's a very good goal to set.
How's the action at the Seminole 2-5 right now with everything going on with Corona? Is it just still crazy?
Yeah, people still
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, you need it, As long as people are safe and wearing masks, it's a good time.
Yeah, based on your stories, it still looks like...
Yeah, it looks insane.
Awesome. So, yeah. I haven't played in Florida for since I was 18. I think I played in the Seminole Hard Rock as well. But yeah, it's been a while.
The games are great.
That's awesome.
I'm going to be traveling to Tampa probably once a month.
Oh, really?
And the games were
cool.
Even better in Tampa. So
yeah. So
yeah,
you go ahead, Bryce.
I was just going to say, it sounds like it really just boils down to the hourly for you, and that's also how I've actually been setting my goals as well. I tend to also set goals outside of just also just preparation, study goals, in addition to I try not to focus too much on results. If you put in the hours, especially you who've been playing a decade, your hourly, what it's basically about. So that's gonna translate into hours. It's like how many hours you punch into a job, roughly what your paycheck's gonna be. Yeah. So I think that's awesome to set that goal, and I really like that acronym of HALT. It's hungry. Wait, what is the U?
Don't play hungry, angry, unfocused.
Oh,
No
hey,
one-
okay, yeah. Oh, I'm stupid. Yeah, that's great. What were you gonna say, Ryan?
No, I wasn't gonna say much. I was just gonna start transitioning over to the interview.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So
You want
we
first
wanted to start in. Yeah, I think I'll start here. As one of the things that I've noticed while again digging through your website as well is how positive you stay about the poker, or how positive you are about the poker grind. So you've said it yourself, and it's been said many a time before, that poker is an easy way to make a hard living. So over the years, what are some techniques that you've grown to avoid tilting at the table and, stay focused during really a decade of positive play?
Yeah, I've heard you guys mention it a few times. As far as just like exercising, I play tennis like 3 or 4 times a week. I go to the beach at least once a week. I started picking up on meditation late last year.
Yeah.
So I do meditate. I do affirmations. I just try to keep a clear head, and just always when things are going bad, I always just look at the big picture and just go back into the apps. I used to use Run Good, and then before that I used Poker Journal. They stopped updating, so I just go back and look at the long term.
Right.
Just focus on that. So.
Have you moved all the numbers into one giant thing yet?
Right now, I'm struggling to get things off of Run Good into the new app. I haven't been able to do it yet. So if you know anyone that can help with that, that would be great.
Oh goodness. Yeah. I haven't been tracking
technical for me.
A few things. Just trying to eat healthier. Just all the things you need to do just to be a functioning person in society.
It's definitely the one I've been working on the most, the eating healthy. During quarantine, I think a lot of people have been slacking on that one.
Big shout out to HelloFresh.
Yeah, HelloFresh.
I had some chicken gnocchi bake right before this.
So I've gone through different types of diets. I did keto for a while.
Oh, really?
Nice. That's tough.
I lost about 15 pounds doing that. Yeah. That helped me a lot with focus and, just energy. Because I honestly, I don't like to play long sessions. I've never been one to do that. If I'm doing really well, then I'll push myself to play longer sessions. But I've always done like 3, 4, maybe 5 hours. I think in 2017, I was playing 6-hour sessions. And that's like as long as I play, but I have to be doing really well to extend my sessions. I just want to hit my 120, 140 hours a month, and, that'd be that.
That makes sense.
That's fair. So our next question is, we noticed several different poker books scrolling through your Instagram. Do you have a top 2 or 3 must-read poker strategy books, or books you just enjoy?
Top 3. I like Annie Duke's book.
What's it called?
What is it called?
Annie Duke's.
Annie Duke. What did you say?
I can tell you in a second.
I haven't read that. Is it the How to Decide book? Or Thinking in Bets? Oh, wow. She has a lot of
I've read both of them, but it's How to Decide.
Okay.
How to Decide, yeah. The 2010 one. Okay.
What does that one go over?
I'm really going to buy it right now.
I mean, I always go back to that book just as far as hand ranges.
Interesting.
If I'm ever, want to get back to the basics in a sense, I definitely go back to reading that book or listening to that book, because she's kind of a nit. But sometimes you need to, to have that, especially, so I implement some of her hand ranges and more aggressive games and with better players, because it's hard to punt when you're starting with better hands.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair.
So kind of going off that question, who do you think, if you had to name a poker pro other than yourself, you model your game after, and who do you enjoy watching the most?
I don't watch that much poker anymore, but I would say probably Bart Hansen.
Good pick.
Yeah, I did a lot of study through his website, and so I definitely would say him. A lot of my style that I learned earlier was from listening to him and watching his videos and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
me and my friends. We watch all of his call and live shows. Those things are amazing. Where he just breaks down people's hands.
You and your friends? Are you referencing me and Evan?
I only have 2 friends. Okay, relax.
Bart's helped a lot.
But another question for you. So, over a decade of experience with the poker tables, what keeps you coming back time and time again? Poker grind's tough. What keeps you coming back? Do you just love the game so much?
I mean, honestly, I tell people I'm not that passionate about poker.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about the freedom. I like to be able to travel. I like to be able to use the money that I get from poker to invest in other things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are you going to do to make $60, $70 an hour, and do it on your own time? So that's what
it's interesting. Because I think you being just an entrepreneurial type of person in general lends itself to you being a successful poker player.
Oh, 100%. You actually failed to mention one of his side hustles, Ryan. He also sells insurance, which both of us have worked for Mass Mutual.
Have done.
So.
That's so funny. Yeah, I think salespeople, people who are entrepreneurs in general are just drawn to poker because it's a people game and B, just like a thinking game. And we like to think. We like to try to outthink other people. And that's I really like that answer. It's a really interesting
definitely business and sales has helped because there's no immediate gratification.
Right.
So in sales, there's no immediate gratification. In poker, there's no immediate gratification.
Right.
So that's definitely helped a lot.
Well
that's
said.
Interesting.
Our next question is, what motivates you to create content? You put a lot out there. I think you have a separate Instagram account called The Poker Mindset, I believe, something like that. Maybe I'm crazy.
No. The PokerProneur is my poker Instagram.
Oh, really? I totally thought you had another Instagram.
I do have another one. That's my personal one.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what motivates you to put so much content out? And he's also very transparent. So a lot of people are a little afraid to share the results. But like Brad Owen and Andrew Nemi are a little better about it. But he breaks it down by month.
I put everything out there.
He put every loss, every single session. He'll tell you what happens.
Yeah, I'll let you know what happens. So I think there's a lot of, nonsense and just not clarity. And when I see other people post things, because people have this idea about poker that it's all glamour, and sometimes it's not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
So you guys know, but people are just, looking in or don't know much about it. People ask me, teach me how to play. Like, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
You can't learn just like that.
Yeah.
But just being transparent, when I put stuff out, like, I go back and I look at it for myself. So that's really, maybe that's a little bit selfish, but I put it out there so I can go back and look and review situations and ask people in my chat groups where I made mistakes and where I can improve and try to get their feedback and their input.
What sort of chat groups are you in? Are they mainly just friends you've met at casinos? Do you pay for a hand history lounge? Or what sort of people are you bouncing these hands off of?
It's a lot of people who've done well in the Hard Rock and South Florida area. A few people, I used to host poker games a long time ago. So there's a few people who are in that group. One of my good friends, Jerry Limber, he was like roommates with Shannon Shore, Jonathan Little.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Back in the day, like, I actually saw Jonathan win his first tournament, the Mirage. So
wow.
So Jerry's in that group. There's a few people, just that I'm not that strong of a tournament player because I don't think that I am. So, I bounce ideas off of certain players,
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's interesting. It's interesting that you say that too, because other, poker content creators who are cash game players who are now leaning towards online are saying that as well. Like, I hate to keep bringing up Brad Owen and Andrew Nemi, but they're the easiest example. Brad Owen got Jonathan Little to do a little short video breaking down one of the spots in a tournament where he made
Jonathan Little was
like,
him.
"This is a shove." Like, come on, Brad. Come on, you should think of this. This is a shove.
That was hilarious.
I think that's funny.
But anyways, moving on to our next question. What advice would you have for people considering quitting their corporate job to pursue the entrepreneurial lifestyle? It doesn't have to necessarily be poker, but just that entrepreneurial, not working for the man kind of life.
Working for yourself.
Advice for people who want to pursue business and or poker.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say get a mentor. You have to have a mentor. If you're coming into it with with little money, before you make that jump, definitely have your 9 months of expenses.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely have some type of a cushion. But I would say mentor would be the number one thing. Mentor is going to give you that education and experience. It's
100%.
going to help you.
Right.
I think, I mean, obviously, I haven't made the full leap to full-time professional or anything of that nature, but I think paying for like the pro group that I've been doing is just awesome. Just to hear people who are going through the similar things as me. If you tell like your friend that you lost a few $1,000s or something, like it's hard for them to even emotionally understand.
Yeah.
Like having these friends to just bounce ideas off. Like I've got a friend for tournament strategy I go to. I've asked James for tax advice before, and just like stuff like that. Like having people who've gone through it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Anything in life, like if you're gonna go and have an internship somewhere, like you'll ask people a bunch of questions, or like a job. Like just don't be afraid to look stupid. Don't be afraid to ask people who you know have more knowledge than you and experience. And yeah, I think that's amazing advice that everyone can take. So we've got
And
one
so-
more. Oh, okay.
I want to take the last question. Excuse me. So, and now going into it. So, what are your goals that you're setting this year, both in poker and your personal life? Do you have, any drive now to go towards a WSOP grind or something more on the tournament side, or are you just sticking to the cash?
I mean, if I were to get to a point, that's funny that you asked that question because I'm not really a big tournament player, but in order to play higher stakes in cash games, typically the games are much tougher.
Mm-hmm.
But higher stakes in tournaments, they're still soft.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that Jonathan actually told me is like, you have to understand when you start buying for 5K, 10K events, these people don't know what they're doing. So you're able to capitalize, on the higher stakes. So I would say maybe in a few years, I would be more tournament when I have like my investments that are able to pay for my expenses. I would run more tournaments, but I hate tournaments. But but at the same time, like it's what you have to do in order to get to that next step.
Yeah, I 100% encourage you as well to go for tournaments. I was gonna go to the World Series of Poker this year, and I'm definitely gonna go next year, assuming it's healthy. To fire in some tournaments, and I was probably gonna fire in like the value ones, like maybe 1,500, like max.
I was gonna do a package this year.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I was gonna sell a package as well, which is what my coach said basically. But he also said like, no, you have to play the main. Like the value in the main is so good. Even if you sell half your action, you have to play it. I was like, I don't like that's a big buy-in for me.
That's a
I
big
can
one.
I can definitely afford to pay for half and sell the other action. But like I also, like you, am a cash game specialist. I don't hate tournaments, but it definitely hurts to spend 14 hours to min cash to make like couple like it hurts. It's an emotional roller coaster. Like I totally prefer cash games, but I do think there's so much money to be made in tournaments. I'm not speaking from personal experience, but just from everyone I've spoken to. So yeah, definitely interested to see.
I agree 100%.
Your progression there as well. But congratulations on your recent cash.
The reason why I played the last tournament was because I won a Splash the Pot promotion.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you pre-rolled this one.
Pre-rolled this one, and then I believe like it was like maybe 30 minutes later they called my table again, and then I won the hand again, so I got another $1,100 ticket.
No way.
That's actually this week coming up. So like
that's so sick.
That's sick.
That's
awesome,
awesome,
man. That'll be fun.
I wouldn't be playing those tournaments. Like,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But so he has been kind enough to share some of his recent hands with us that we will be going over.
Let's do it, Mike.
So do you have the background on this hand ready, Ryan?
No, other than this is 500. You're $500 affected. This is 2.5. These are both hands that we pulled from your story from 2 weeks ago, and it's been a little while, so you may not remember these. But these were some pretty interesting spots, to be honest with you. So it looks like this hand, there's an under the gun open to 20, and you flat in the cutoff.
Six-handed.
Okay.
So what are you thinking here when
actually no, it's not under the gun.
Middle position.
Yeah.
When middle position 4x is it? What is your thought process here?
It was earlier position. It was an Asian gentleman, and he's been playing pretty nitty, so like I want to see a flop in position with this hand.
Totally standard. But let's see what else happens.
Did you get anyone else?
Alrighty, we're going 3-way to a flop, and the flop comes, alright, pretty damn good flop. Ace Jack 9, 2 diamonds, and wow, holy hell. Okay, so the big blind leads for basically pot, and seat 9 decides to essentially min raise that bet. So what are you thinking here when you've got both the straight and the flush draw?
I actually thought about this for a while. I've played with the big blind he let out, and he plays kind of unconventional. Like he'll bet his strong hands, he'll just donk out like this. So
does he also do this with his weaker holdings?
He'll do this with draws as well.
Okay.
So when the under the gun player like picked it back, it was a terrible spot. You know, like I posted this in my chat. I wasn't really sure what to do, but I just felt like I was only in for 20. There's Jack X of diamonds. I don't want to be up against a set in a diamond draw.
Yeah.
Right.
Drawing dead. So, you know, I just decided to make the fold. You know, like I thought about it for a while, but one player actually showed Ace Jack, the guy that donked out. You know, like, so the other guy, I don't know what he had.
Wait, does he fold?
No, they got it all in the flop.
Oh, and what
Okay,
did
so they do get it all in.
C9 have?
I don't know what the other player had. I only was able to see.
So Ace Jack's good.
Yeah. So
I mean, you're not dead if you're up against a set in a diamond draw, but obviously you just have the queen. You just have like 6 outs and the queens and 7s. Yeah. But
so it's split. My chat was split. Like what I should do there. You know.
How deep is seat 4 and seat 9?
I mean, we were all. They had. I mean, I think we're just effective 500.
500 effective.
Yeah,
okay.
I think because you're this short, I 100% lean towards the fold. I think the money's just always getting in here. Well, normally getting in here when it goes pot min raise. Like, I just don't see a scenario where the money doesn't go in. And if you are up against a better diamond draw, that greatly reduces your outs, and you're just not getting the price with 6 outs to put all your money in there.
Right.
So I definitely think it's the right fold. If you all were like 3K deep and he raised to 125, I would put in the call and see what happens. But considering you guys are so shallow, I agree with your logic that it's just a fold here.
Yeah. Right. There's not that much money to be made. And like you said, you could be either or they're dead or not drawing to all the outs. Like on the surface, it looks like an amazing flop. And then when it goes bet raise, your logic makes a lot of sense as to why.
I don't like this hand anymore.
Honestly, I thought it's like king, queen of diamonds, and jacks or aces.
Yeah. And that's honestly what I would put him on too, because like that's what raises there. Other than ace jack is like king, queen of diamonds, like just better diamond draws. Like he can't have a worse diamond draw that's raising here.
I just don't like a min raise. What the hell did that dude have?
I have no idea. I thought that he was the one who had a set.
Yeah. I thought he would be the one who would show up here with maybe ace.
Do you
jack
think he has
like
ace king? Like, does
jack.
ace king really? That's just stupid.
I think he has ace king.
You're
he didn't win. He didn't win, so he he had to have ace king.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Ace king or ace queen makes no sense.
Because you said he's nitty too, so I don't expect him to just be stone cold bluffing with 7 deuce min raising here.
But I think if everyone's like 500 effective, he makes it 125 here. Yeah, that's weird. I don't really know why he would call off there to a shove. If the shove's going to be like 300, I don't know. It's a weird spot for him, especially. It's easier for you because now you're out of the way.
100%. Yeah, so I like to fold. So your other hand is the king high hand, which we may or may not have lost the data on. So do you happen to remember the action on that hand?
Wait, I have it.
I thought you said you didn't. I thought you said
I got it, Bryce. It's right there.
Okay, never mind. I would like to retract that statement. Ryan somehow got it without talking to me. I guess he
so the thing that we're missing is really just the stuff that happens after the flop. Because you fold, but then we don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
He doesn't fold.
You call. You don't fold. You call, but we don't know how the board ran out. All we know is that you won. So,
well, thanks for spoiling it to the podcast. But alrighty. So we've got king 10 off.
King 10 off.
Why does the button have an S?
Because there's a straddle pot. Button straddle.
Oh, got you. Not all casinos do that. I was like, what is happening? I totally was not paying attention to pre-flop action. What happened?
So there was a limp in from the small blind and seat 3 limped, and then you made it 60, and then you got 2 callers from the button straddler who cold called, and then seat 3 who limped.
Okay, so
someone folded. The small blind.
what is the table dynamic going on, and what's factored into your decision to make it 60?
All right, so I had just sat down. This might have been like my third hand.
Nice.
But when I came to the table, the villain that basically who I called off against, I saw him check raise all in on like a draw, like some crazy draw. It's like a gut shot and a pair, but just it didn't make any sense based on the action that I saw. And I played with him before as well. He's a little bit,
wild.
He's very wide. Yeah, he's very wide.
Is that seat 6 or 3?
It was
seat 3, I believe. It's not the button straddler. Yeah,
okay.
It's the limper. The limper's the maniac.
Yeah, so I played with him before, and I've just seen him. He just overvalues. He's always plays his draws really fast.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. Okay, that's an interesting note going into the flop here.
Sounds like CJ. So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so the flop is 8-6 deuce 2 diamonds. Not amazing.
King of diamonds
for our range. So what does the? Oh wait, we're not on the button. We're cut off. Checks to you. You decide to go 115 to 195. So yeah, what goes into this decision?
In this situation, like, I just don't feel like, well, before the flop also, he was hesitant to call.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't think that he'd be hesitant to call with any, like, ace-x diamonds.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just basically, I'm going to have some backdoor equity here, 2 overs. I expect them to just be folding out a lot of their range in this situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very good you're holding the king of diamonds also.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's also because you have the most uncapped range of everyone here as the aggressor. And, well, no, you're not in position yet. But, I mean, as the aggressor, you have the uncapped range here. So you can have all the overpairs and stuff. So even though this kind of, like, unassuming flop may hit his range in terms of, like, 8-6s and deuces that he might be like, and put in a call with, yeah, I agree with what you're saying so far. And
no,
there's a lot of turns that you're going to like.
Yeah, he definitely calls. He calls 8-6s deuce. He calls any pair.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
The fact that he hesitated before the flop definitely factored into my decision. Like
he doesn't have a pair. If he has 8-6, cool. Like,
yeah, he doesn't have a
We
pair.
haven't talked about physical tells in. Good Lord, this is great. We haven't had a live hand in a while. This is fabulous.
So that hesitation.
I like the bet a lot, and I like the sizing. Let's see what the button does. Button folds, and we're going against the NIM. Oh, all right. Wait, he makes it 440 and you fold?
No, he calls, but I had to put in fold or else he
okay.
wouldn't make the hand. Okay,
you
that's
call
why I had
with he makes it 440 and you call?
He just jams.
He just rips it in there.
Yeah.
And he calls with king high. Yes.
I didn't call immediately. I didn't snap call.
You call on the flop?
Yes.
On the flop.
Right.
Okay. What is the run out, and does the villain show their hand?
Wait, the story is fabulous. Let him tell the story.
The villain does show their hand. I believe it was. I want to say it was Queen 3 of diamonds.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't know. It was either Queen. Yeah, it was Queen 3 of diamonds or Queen 4 of diamonds.
You're a sicko.
Your head.
I love it. Like.
So my thought process in this situation is like if he has like some ragged like 9-8 or 7-8,
you're live.
I'm live.
Very live.
Yeah.
But it's how fast he just jammed in. Like, I mean, I played a lot of online poker, a lot. So timing tells. I pick up on timing tells, and the fact that he didn't even think about it and just snap jams, like,
yeah,
it just didn't make any sense. So. I said, how high is your diamond draw? That's what I asked him.
I'm dead.
I blocked the next best one. You knew he wasn't limping with the best one. That's that's crazy.
I actually, now that I think about it a little more, I still probably wouldn't make the call here. I don't think I have the kahunas. But when he hesitates, like, it sounds like a player like this is just always calling with deuces, calling with
Right.
sixes, calling with eights. So you can rule out sets. So even if he an 8-6 probably doesn't just rip in your face, like you said, the timing tell just that quickly. And even if he has a hand like, God, I don't know, Queen 8, Ace 8, whatever, you still have overs. You're not dead, and you still have the backdoor diamond draw.
Yeah,
So,
and it's
I mean,
also a straddle pot, so we're essentially playing 50 bigs. deep.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
an interesting point as well.
I
Because
think
how
it's a
shallow
I
you
think
are.
it's a damn good read. Ryan's been talking about timing tells a lot. He hadn't really been using them only online, but like
Right.
it's definitely like a thing. Like
It is.
people against me, I've had to balance my tanking because if I tank
Yeah.
and bet, people are way more likely to call me because they think I'm bluffing and thinking about whether or not I can bluff it or not. So
Right.
I 100% I'll use time banks with the nuts now just to like screw with
Mess
them.
with people, right?
Like
It's interesting.
I do 15 seconds. 15 seconds.
yeah.
Every time. I like that.
You know, when the pot's over 100 big blinds, you know, like I'm doing 15 seconds.
And I think it's good to standardize that 100%.
Yeah,
Now, how do you standardize that? You obviously aren't counting in your head because you're thinking of different things, right? Like how do you?
Some sites have clocks, and if he means
No,
live,
I'm talking about
yeah,
in person. Yeah.
Oh, I just count. You know, like I'm like he said, if you're in the situation with the nuts, you know, you're
You
just
can
trying
just
to
count, right? You can just count, right?
You know,
Yeah, so you don't have much more thinking to do.
You know, but if I don't have the nuts or I'm trying to bluff, like I'm usually going to be thinking about my sizing anyway. You know,
Right.
so I'm gonna
I
be
agree,
taking-
100%.
But I mean, I do also like the fact that online poker has forced me to think about spots quicker because I've had to like I don't want to say we use the word augment, but I mean, I have had to fundamentally change the way I think about poker so that I can make decisions within 20 seconds. With time banks, it makes it a little easier, but only having 60
28
seconds max to make a decision is can be tough sometimes in poker.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a minute or two just to think of the combos and go through the ranges and
That's a higher level call. If I jam,
sure.
well, Ryan's too much of a nit to raise this. In
I'm
the cutoff. But
no.
yeah, I think that's a very interesting hand, and you're a sicko. And I was
great
so
read.
shook when I saw that online when you posted it. But definitely make sure to give this guy a follow. He's great. He's very
Absolutely.
transparent,
The
very passionate about the
PokerProneur.
game. But thank you so much for coming on today. Very much
appreciate it,
appreciate it.
guys.
This was a great episode so far, and take care. Good luck on the grind.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good one, Mike.
You too.
So we have 3 more hands for you guys. This episode is quite the treat. What is this is your hand. I don't think I've gone over this, so I'm not gonna do the spoiler and get to watch it live with everybody.
Oh my goodness.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so this is 1-2 9-handed. This is in a very special group of people.
Is this the other club?
Yes. So
This
these
is the
people
club I
are
was banned for being too good. Scotty
these
Steak, if
people
you're
are a
watching
little
this.
wild. These people are wild. So let's just kind of like do a little breakdown. So there are some villains. There are 2 key villains in this hand. They are Ship Sherbert and Bama 1107. Bama 1107 is currently off of a 1.12k stack, which he has gotten from doing some of the donkiest donk things I have ever seen in my life.
Get me in this game.
Popping the nuts with 7-3, like making pre-flop calls that are beyond questionable. Like, this guy is just making moves. He's clicking buttons and he's up huge. And you can tell that he may not be the best player at this game because he has an $1,100 stack in a 1-2 game, and he just limped under the gun one. So this hand opens on Ship Sherbert, who I know to be kind of a solid player. I've played against him a bunch and had some really
He's
interesting
better at PLO.
Yeah, I would agree. But his no-limit game is strong. Like, he can bluff. He's capable of doing things. He's not a very straightforward player. He's capable of mixing.
That's fair.
So,
all right, so we got 10s on the button. We've
got
got 3 limpers. What are we going to do?
We're making it here, especially given that I kind of want to isolate Bama more than anything else as the bigger stack. I go with a bigger sizing in position. I go to 19, actually. And that's really because I want to...
shocked, but in love with it.
Yes. And usually
I
would
even go smaller. I would go 15,
Yes.
16 here. I like it. I like it, Ryan. Going some nuts.
So I wanted to isolate Bama here because I wanted to put him in a
hand
spot
like
where
10.
I could cap range.
like tens, if you go 5-way with tens, you're gonna have a bad flop. So I
Yeah,
actually
it's not
don't
gonna-
mind sizing up. I
Yeah.
like it. I'd much like going too big than too small, and you still get some calls. We're going 3-way.
Yep.
6-2 in the pot. Action on Ship Sherbert. We got an ace. Not the best card in the world, but we can still rep it. Checks. Okay. Bama just leads for 20. And you put in the flat call.
I put a flat call here, and in hindsight,
think
like,
there's-
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I could do much else. It's a very strange bet. It's a 1/3 pot bet from not the pre-flop aggressor, from a limp caller on an ace 8-3 rainbow board. So
I hate his bets so much.
I do too. Like, I can't lay down tens yet.
This is the thing. If he has a shit ace, I don't think he bets it unless he just like knows nothing about poker. Unless he has like ace 8. I don't understand the bet. I'm not even gonna continue to understand. His range is wide as hell. Let's see what happens.
Interesting. So yeah.
Ship Sherbert folds. Okay.
So we know he's limp call out of the way. Turn comes.
A 9.
Again,
Good
not
card
the
for his
worst
range.
card in the world.
36,
Yeah, but again,
bro. Why is he betting so small?
right.
I don't think you can fold. I
can't fold.
The weird thing is, what the hell is he betting? There's no draws on that flop.
Right.
Like, what is he betting?
Right. So that's the real question that I'm asking myself when I'm sitting here. Is like, is my one pair of tens good? And what could he possibly be showing up here that limp calls under the gun 1?
I don't think you can fold turn.
No, I can't fold
river.
turn either. I'm definitely calling this too because his sizing is super small. He doesn't size up on a turn that brings in a lot of draws, but like, what draws were flatting this flop that picked up equity on the turn? Like Jack 10 should have gotten out of the way. Maybe like 7-6 would be a really wide float. Like there's not a lot of draws that picked up equity on this turn. So I'm just calling all day. There's no way I'm folding here.
Good river.
And he goes for it again.
That's not going for it, bro. 53 into 174 is not going for it.
And so this was really interesting. He put in 3 barrels, and I make a fold here.
I disagree.
I disagree with it too.
If you're calling turn,
I have to
if you're calling turn, you can't fold river to the floor.
Especially on this river. If it was a Jack, Queen, King, any paint at all, you can excuse the fold here. But I think specifically it being a 4 and being a mega brick, and then him kind of betting this sizing, I read it for value, but now looking back, having him go small, 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 I don't know. It kind of looks bluffier in hindsight.
I'll bet you $20 he had 8-3. I'll bet you $20 he had 8-3 suited.
Interesting.
I can't think of a hand that bets like this. I still think you should have called, even if it's
100%. And I think
$1,000 sack. But
anyone who studies GTO would have said, "How in the world did you fold this, getting the odds that you were getting?"
What? I think had he been limping a lot. Had he been limping a lot? Because what limps?
Constantly limping.
Okay, well that means he could have way more than 8-3. But like he doesn't have an ace, and if he has an ace, unless he has like ace 8 or ace 3, like you have all the better aces. Why does he bet $20? Like this dude sucks at poker, and please get me into the club. But like it is hard to evaluate what this man has. He played the hand absolutely atrociously, or maybe he played it like a genius and had pocket 8s and just milked the hell out of you.
Yeah,
but
he was just trying to get value. I just could not, for the life of me, I couldn't put him on nothing made sense on this board. Like there's no missed draws, like nothing missed. So what do you have? Like
I don't hate you thinking you're beat. I hate you saying this is never a fold on the turn and then folding river.
And then folding, on this river.
That comment. You can't tell me I can't fold turn. Brick river fold.
And then fold. Right. You're totally right there. That's
Of course I've registered to vote. It's a very important election. Everyone please vote. Anyways, we have 2 more hands for you. I play my hand well, so we can look at that one. All right. No, this is a fun hand, and this actually put me in a tough spot. So this I've showed a few of these heads up hands. What the heck? Am I really this shallow? That doesn't make sense. I think you linked the wrong hand. I don't know. I'm confused.
You sent me the 3-4 hand, buddy guy.
You sent this one. Oh, it just hasn't loaded yet. I think. 1 second. Let me see. Because it says R Paul 847. Oh no, it loaded correctly. Okay.
There it is.
All right, so I am playing Sam, aka I hate bombs in this hand. We play heads up basically once or twice a week. And I might be playing Poker Traveler heads up for 3-6 1500 buy-in soon. So
Really
I
nice
might
strategy.
I might stream that game. Anyways, so we are on the button with 3-4 offsuit premium hand. Not actually. We raise it to 16. It says it to 12, but I'm actually raising it to 16. I don't.
Oh,
like,
I accidentally I misput that in actually.
That's
my
okay.
fault.
It'll mess
Yeah.
up the pot by like $8, but it's fine.
Right. But
So
you know
I'm
it's
raising like 80% of my hands, 80 to 85% of my
Well, that's
button.
really interesting because I wanted to bring that up because
Yeah, because I'm playing 3-4 offsuit. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's something that's interesting to me because obviously button opening ranges are super wide, but
Yeah.
when I pull up, like Flopzilla and stuff like that, and I look at the ranges that I would normally play, it's interesting because I will even break down to the point of weighting them towards, here's hands that you should open a lot, or here's hands that you should get rid of if your opponent's opening to 4x or something like that.
Yeah.
Like which percentage of the range to get rid of. So I find it interesting that even though you're opening 4x sizings, you're still opening hands like 3-4 offsuit.
I'd love to explain that. So I think his pre-flop play is so exploitable. That is where I've made the most money.
Interesting.
He has never 4-bet bluffed. I 4-bet bluff. I
Gotta
mean,
have a 4-bet bluff
even
range, heads
3-betting.
up.
He doesn't even
King
have
queen,
much of a
baby.
3-bet bluff range. I mean, he'll 3-bet King Jack suited sometimes or something of that nature.
Or that one time he did it with 10-3.
I 3-bet so light. If he saw my hands, he would adjust his play so much. But I am also confident in just playing my ranges and playing post flop. I just basically think I have an edge over him. Not a huge edge. He's a very good player, but I think he plays the same too much. And I think
Too
after playing
straightforward.
so many sessions with him, I've started to exploit it. And while I've said that, like, he's not like the tightest player or anything. I've just started to pick up his tendencies, and as of sure, he's picked up mine. I'm not trying to act like some genius, but I'm basically confident playing virtually any hand against him. Yes, I'm gonna fold out my 7 deuces, 7-3 off, whatever. But I raise to 16 total, and he puts in the call. So the flop actually has more like 30 in it, and 4 queen 3. Yeah, this is gonna mess up the.
Wow, really tough spot here, Bryce.
So yeah, we flop 2 pair. We bet 18. So we're actually not betting 18 into 24. We're betting 18 into like 30. I think that's important to note.
That's right. To note, yes.
So I still size up a little more. I go like 55 to 60%, which is a little big, but I basically expect him to fold unless he has a straight, a flush, or a queen. So I basically think he's relatively elastic here, and I think that if he's gonna call, I can bet a little bigger. So that's why I went a little bigger, and I think that's fine. What do you think, Ryan?
That's interesting. I think going bigger on the flop means that he should be calling with a tighter range, technically speaking. But I think, heads up, that's a little different than it is 9-handed because he's going to continue with every one of his pairs. You're not folding a pair heads up. Pocket pairs, medium pocket pairs that may have flatted you there. Some, like you were just brought up, there's some draws that make sense. Even some suited connectors like clubs that aren't hitting this board necessarily, but still have the draw. So there's a lot that he could flat a reasonably sized bet here with. So I don't even mind going half pot.
I think it's fine.
Yeah. Again, you look at that board, you go, it's unassuming, and then you think about it, and you're like, you can go a little bigger there.
Turn brings a 7, which brings in the open ender, the 5-6.
Yeah.
And he checks it over to me, and I bet 50. So I'm more betting 50 into 70, which is a pretty big bet. But when he calls flop, I expect him to call most turns. Yes, he's gonna fold out his 4s. What 4s is he gonna have? And I have a 4. If he has a hand like ace 4, ace 3, I expect him to raise me preflop, and I block a hell of a lot of everything. So I expect him to have a lot of queens or a flush draw is virtually what I'm ranging him on here. Obviously sometimes he could have like deuces or 5s or something like that, but for the most part,
and he has 5-6, but like that's in his range. But
I actually expect 5-6 to raise here, which goes into my river decision. Not always, but the majority of the time, I think 5-6 raises here, especially when I bet a little bigger on the turn. I think I'm repping good queens over pairs, stuff of that nature.
That aren't going to lay it down to a raise.
So a king of hearts, I love to see this card. I check and I bet 130 into 160, and he wow. Okay, you see what I do? Oh fuck! It showed the hand. Yeah, I bet 130. He raises me to 390, and I go in the tank. A little bit. So I'm really
Yeah,
just
you
trying
use
to
the
think
time
of
bank.
what the hell he has here.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. He doesn't have king queen. King queen 3-bets me all day long.
Even queen jack sometimes 3-bets you too.
What two pair combinations make sense? Can he have queen 7 suited or something like this sometimes? Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Sure. Should be rare though.
That would play it this way, sure. But I expect that to raise turn, and I don't know how many queen 7 suited he's also playing. Also this raise, it's pretty big, and I have a ton of king queens. I could have sets, which makes this raise interesting. He was pretty fearless. But if he had a set, I just expect to hear from him earlier. I expect to hear from him on the turn most of the time.
Right.
But
it's like what's putting in all this money on this river? Because like nothing.
That's the thing. It's a hard time figuring out a bluff. A flush draw is the main thing that I'm assuming, because I don't expect a queen to raise. I expect a queen. It's too much showdown value. I expect a flat.
Exactly.
So if he's turning his hand into a bluff, what calls flop and turn that turns their hand into a bluff? If he had a queen, he's not doing that. Right. And I block sets of 3s. I block sets of 4s. A pair of 7s might float flop, but like it doesn't make sense. Like name a hand, a value hand that plays it this exact way. That does
and
this.
And raises the river. Yeah.
I can't name one. And he could have a ton of bluffs. He could have a ton of club draws that bluff. The value hands that make sense are like queen 7 pocket 7s. Like
right.
And there are a ton of combos of bluffs of just club draws.
And like we said, we would have heard from those hands at an earlier point, more than likely, because he would have been trying to get stacks in. Like this raise doesn't make a lot of sense on this river for a lot of reasons, and not the least of which is why is he putting in all his money here when hands that were nutted on the turn likely needed a little bit more protection from things like flush draws and such, and probably would have been raising. Yeah, I totally agree with your analysis here. It looks bluffy.
It looks crazy. I mean, I called a 3-4 off. I think it's also interesting to note that villain had 9-4 of suited, which is a little loose. I probably wouldn't actually call this hand if he raised 16. While I play a ton of hands on my button, I would not call 9-4 spades out of position against him.
Yep, that's one of the few hands that's carved out of that little corner.
I play a lot less hands out of position. While I raise 80%, I'm only playing like 60% of my hands out of position.
Yes.
You have to greatly tighten your range. So we got one more hand for you guys. I know it's getting a little late, but we'll try to wrap it up in the next 5 minutes or so.
We had sunlight at the beginning of the podcast.
Exactly.
Now we don't anymore.
Go until darkness. But it's been a great podcast. Very glad to have James on. He was great. Got to get more pros on. So if you're a pro watching this, hit me up.
Please.
Oh no, I know what hand this is. No. Okay. So you asked me if you thought you played this hand poorly. In short, the answer is absolutely.
Who are you talking to?
I am talking to the person who submitted this hand.
Oh, okay. So let's be clear. This is not me.
This is not Ryan.
So we're in a tournament here. Let's set the scene. So here's what this is. This is a no limit hold'em. Shockingly, this is a knockout tournament. We're in the final 4. This is on PP Poker. I'm not sure what the buy-in is, but we are sitting here 4-handed, and so considering we're in a tournament 4-handed, we have to appreciate stack sizes. So being hero, what's around us? The big stack is to our left. That kind of sucks. To his immediate left, or to the immediate left, the big stack is the tiny stack, and then there's another middling stack. So there's like 3 in the middle stacks and a small one. I don't know how big the pay jumps are, but in a knockout tournament, they're generally smaller. But another key thing to note is that I don't even know how to say that name. Wanao First has a $103 bounty on his head, and no one else has a bounty above, I think, $20. So it's interesting that the short stack is here and the huge bounty is here, and this hand is about to occur. So action opens under the gun.
This is a train wreck.
Folds to our hero here in the small blind, who limps with Queen of Diamonds. Now, here's what we're saying, right? We're at 2,000, 4,000 here. 2,000, 4,000 to the 518. There's about 10,000 in the
You absolutely have to raise 10 to 12K.
You absolutely have to raise, because one of the conversations that Bryce were having before this was what sort of limping range could you have if you were thinking about having one in the small blind? And we both agreed that it should be a polarized range. That if you're going to be limping here, then you're going to be limping with crappier hands than eight deuce suited maybe, but I might open that, like maybe, or a king deuce off. I'm sorry, not 8 deuce. A king deuce suited or king deuce off, maybe is in your limping range, so that you can include hands like aces. But the problem is that when you have those polarized ranges, you're going to have to limp hands like aces. I don't want to limp hands like aces, so I choose to not have a limping range in the small blind. So
no, I don't think you should be limping here frequently at all. I don't think you should limp here. But
especially with
we
the
limp. This is a strong hand against the big blinds range.
Yes,
this is a
absolutely.
above average hand.
Can you imagine being in the big blind heads up against this guy, or being on the button heads up against this guy and not opening king 8 suited? It just wouldn't happen. Even 30 big blinds lead or 35 big blinds effective.
This hand just pains me to go over. All right, deuce 10-7 flop. We completely whiff. We've got king high. We've got some backdoor straight draws.
The check backer's range smashes this. They're gonna have all the 7 deuce. I mean,
what do we decide to do? I think we check. Yeah, we check. He checks.
Which
back.
Again, here's what I'm saying is that like this entire situation could have been avoided if not for the fact, like, if you min raise pre-flop, even off of a 35 blind big stack, which is where you should be opening 2 in a bit. Even
the funny thing
is, pre.
We roast hero in this hand, but villain is just as bad. Villain plays this hand horribly. You can exploit the fact he limped. You can raise him pre-flop. You can bet this flop. It smashes your calling range. You don't. So far, everyone has made every single decision incorrectly. There has been nothing done correctly.
Nothing has been done, at least, yeah, exactly.
Radio flatting or radio checking sometimes can be okay. He could literally have like 7 free offsuit, but
anything.
All right, turn to 5. We still have absolutely nothing.
Value. Make that clear.
And what do we decide to do? We decide to lead. Okay, sure, why not?
Okay, so this is just above a minimum size bet. This might have worked the flop, and this is where my argument comes in. If you min raise pre-flop and you bet less than half pot on this flop, I think this is just over with. That you're just going to get the big blind out of here most of the time. But now, after you go check on the flop, you try to bet on the brickiest of turns. This is not the turn card. I mean, I guess you both have limping ranges, so theoretically you really both should smash this board. But no, just keep checking with king high. Just keep checking.
100%. A 5 does not hit your range whatsoever. I don't know what you're trying to rep. I mean, yeah, you just called pre-flop and you have a wide range. I don't
know. Because that's the thing is, I don't know what this bluff is. I don't know what this is.
Just wait. We just need to show them. Oh my god. Okay. So big blind raises to 17K, and we click back to 29K. We click back to 29K. We don't even 2x it. This looks strong. I'll give you that. But you have king high, and you're raising to 30K on the turn. What is your plan on the river? Are you just gonna barrel river? Like, he sent me messages about how much of a meta he was thinking this hand was. He's like, oh, so like I appeared weak on the flop, and then I appeared like not that strong on the turn with my small bet. But then when I re-raised him, I looked so strong. I'm like, okay, like yeah, it looks strong to raise this amount, but you have king high and you raise incredibly small. If you decide to jam here, fine. I still hate it. But a jam here is so much better than raising to 29K. And are we even going to talk about the ICM? This isn't a cash game. There are pay jumps. There's $100 bounty sitting there that you're potentially jeopardizing by donking off with king high. Donking off with king high. All right, we're just
in a different situation. If this was like in the early levels of a tournament, maybe on some planet I can say this is a creative play and there's an argument to be made for why it's good. But as soon as you start talking about the ICM and having that giant bounty over there and that tiny stack over there, there's no reason that you should be rebetting with king high on this turn. There's no you shouldn't be here with this hand right now.
Yeah, 100%. No. And he calls. There's 70K in the pot. And queen on the river. All right, what are we going to do?
We have to bet.
We have to.
We have to bet.
So we check.
I forgot he checked.
We raise turn and we check the river. This dude could have a 7. This dude could literally call you. You gave him the odds to call with a 7. He could have 8-7. He could literally have any 7. And you're giving him
the
a free
opportunity
river.
to check back with 3 deuce. Like you
Like-
gave the opportunity to be like, wow, great. Check with my 3 deuce.
He
Thanks for
physically
trying,
can't
Joker.
fold any hand. If he decided to bet a deuce on the turn, he literally could beat you with 3 deuce. Like, okay, let's see what Villain does. Villain bets 34K. All right, we've got an easy fold now. We have an easy fold. Let's see. He calls. He calls with king high. Wait, and he's good. He's good.
He's good.
He's good.
When I saw the hands for the first time after watching the replay, this because we got to watch like a little clip as if we were from his perspective, and the whole time I'm just like, oh no, oh my goodness, oh my god, what's happening? And then when he made the river call and the hand came up, I jumped. I physically leapt from my chair. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't. Like this is.
Someone
the
just
greatest
messaged
follow-up.
me. Someone messaged me, why are they even doing this? This hand is so dumb. He submitted this hand, and I think this hand goes to show that you shouldn't try to get loosey-goosey when there's an ICM tournament. If this was a cash game, I would still hate it. The sizings and the lines taken by both players were absolutely horrendous. I think Radio played this hand significantly better because if you think somehow they're limping like with a hand that will then call a raise, 6-4 offsuit is fine. If you don't want to bet the flop that hits your range, okay, whatever. You have 6-4 offsuit. If you get called, you don't want to continue. You pick up an open ender and you bet turn standard. You get raised totally small, you call standard, and you brick river and you check. I get it. When the other dude raises you so small in turn, you think that he might have something. So I get not betting, but I just think Hero. How do you call here with king high? Like,
yeah, I mean, you're running into the situation where, like, not only is it like you can only beat a bluff here, but you know, if you in that moment go, oh, you have 6-4 offsuit and toss in a call, I'd be like, you should look like right now.
I just like that's literally the only hand I can think of that semi. I mean, it's the only hand that semi 8-9. Yeah. Oh, how do they not bet flop? Like,
It's so amazing.
It's just baffling. I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
But I feel like we should just stop talking about this hand because it's giving me pain. But we've hit about the hour mark, so that's about time we want to wrap up. But this was a great episode. Very much enjoyed going through 5 hands.
So fun.
James was an amazing guest. Very much enjoyed his personality as well as just his outlook on poker.
Yeah.
And just how optimistic he is. I think both.
I love that mindset.
Yeah. I think Ryan, after a few sessions, beats himself up a little. I mean, who doesn't? Even like 6 weeks ago, I went through like a 2-week downswing, and I was like, I suck at poker.
Yeah.
not literally. I was just like, I can't freaking win. But we've both had a little bit of a mini upswing, I guess you could say. We've both had a pretty good last month or so. Yeah. Hopefully that continues. We're gonna go grind a 1-2 game right after this wraps up, and please submit your hands. We've got a few in the bank, but we definitely are looking for more. And yeah, looking forward to next week. We've already got that guest lined up, and we will see you guys next time. Any closing words, Ryan?
Nothing at all. All In podcast is great. See you next week.
All right, see you guys. Bye.